What's going on, everybody? Today's video we're going to talk about the top 3 mods you should do to your Mazda Miata. Now I have a 1991 Mazda Miata. It is an NA, it is not an MB, not an NC, not an ND, not a ZQ, not a VK, not a blah blah. I have an NA. Now this video should go on for most of the Miatas, at least the 1.8 liter and 1.6 liter Miatas. I don't know if the newer generation has a different motor in it. It probably does. I know it's a little faster. This is just a general guideline of what I think you should do if you have a Mazda Miata. Now I have the 1.6 liters, so it's about 90 wheel horsepower. And what a lot of people go ahead and do on these naturally aspirated 4-cylinder cars is they throw on like this air filter intake type thing, or they'll throw on headers, or they'll do both. Now I'm not suggesting you do that simply because you don't get reward after that. You're not going to go and take your Miata that now has different headers or a different intake and go tune it, because it's not going to get you anywhere. Even if you stepped on a dyno with those things, you're only going to add about like 5 or 6 wheel horsepower to a car that's already super slow, like 90 wheel horsepower. So it's not going to get you anywhere. That's the traditional route, in my opinion, of what people do. Now I'm going to talk about the other mods that I believe that should be done first, the top 3. The very first thing I would do to your Mazda Miata, so I'm gonna wait for this car to go by because it's loud. The first thing I would do to your Mazda Miata is fix the suspension. If it's like mine or like most Mazda Miatas, they're older. Alright, so if you buy the NA or MB, they're old cars. The suspension is pretty much going out. Now I know suspension is very general, so I'm gonna stick to one thing, and I would say coilovers. There's struts and springs, they're adjustable so you can adjust the height. When I got my Mazda Miata, it was bone stock, and the struts and springs were going out, so that's typically what you need to do anyways. So that would be the first thing I would do to the Miata, is I'd put on new struts and springs, and I'd just do the coilovers simply because you can lower and raise the car, add a little bit more stance, actually ride a little bit better, and it's just overall a better option than just putting on OEM struts and springs. Number 2 on the list, a lot of people probably won't agree with me, but I would do this simply because the car is very slow. The car needs boost, either a supercharger or a turbocharger. And this comes along with kits. It's not like you can just throw a turbo on a car, Hacker Garage, or supercharger on the car. You need to do a lot of things, and that's why it's kind of like a big project. It's not just one mod. You have a downpipe, an intercooler, a blow-off valve, intercooler piping, a bunch of other stuff. The turbocharger itself, the Miata is super slow. Don't get me wrong, it is fun when it's slow. If you have some good suspension, you can take some windy roads. It is still a fun car, but at the end of the day, everyone wants more power. Everyone wants to get at least triple digits in the wheel horsepower area. So I'd go ahead and boost the car simply because it needs more power. I personally, with the turbocharger, I did a CX Racing kit along with some other mix and match things, so I kind of did my own kit as well. But there's other supercharger kits out there like Jackson. I think it's the Jackson supercharger kit, and there's other turbocharger kits as well from different Miata sources. The third thing I would do to this car, and it needs to be done, and I haven't done it, so I'm going to be doing it in the future, is brakes. And I don't mean getting new rotors and new pads. I have that. I have slotted and drilled, which I know you're not supposed to have drilled rotors, and I have like these ceramic pads that are supposed to be super good, but the actual brakes, the actual calipers, are just a single piston on the Miatas, and they're just not good enough, especially if your car's boosted. Like right now, I cannot be flying around in corners, not seeing the other side, and possibly something being in the road, and be able to slam on my brakes and be safe, because my car's way too fast now for the brakes that it's supposed to have. These cars are intended to be little road cars that you just drive around, piddle around on, and only have 90 wheel horsepower with. Mine has probably a little over 200 right now, and the brakes are just not cutting it anymore. There's a couple different companies that make the brakes for these Miatas, and typically what people do is they just go for the front brakes and leave the stock rear brakes. And the companies I'm looking at in the future are probably Willwood. They're around $500 to $600 for the whole kit for the 2 fronts, and that's typically what people do. Those are the top 3 things I would do to my Miata first. Suspension, I would do the coilovers. Power, I would either do a supercharger or a turbocharger. And brakes, you need different calipers, a whole new brake setup, at least just for the front. Now this isn't the 3 things you should do to your Miata first video. There's many other things you should do to your Miata first. Remember, these cars come to you very old, a lot of miles on them. There's a lot of maintenance that needs to go on before that. And I think I'm gonna make a video on that too, because people buy these cars thinking they're just gonna slap a turbo on there or slap a super supercharger on there, take it to the track and instantly dominate. But there's a lot of things you need to be able to do first in order to be able to be safe while putting those mods on. Lastly guys, I do want to announce that the self-driven launch is literally tomorrow. While you're watching this, today is my birthday, so happy birthday to me. But the self-driven launch is tomorrow. I'm gonna show you everything that is in the launch right now, and then in tomorrow's video, there'll be a link to the website. It's gonna be at 10 a.m. tomorrow, the launch. Pacific Standard Time, 10 a.m., self-driven. There's a very limited quantity of all these things, so it's not like you're just gonna be able to pick them up whenever. I'm intending to sell out. Let me show you guys all the products. First things first, we have decals. We have them in this gold color that's hard to see, a white, gloss white, aquamarine, and a super, super bright green. I have a lot more of white than I do the colored options. Secondly, we have 2 stickers going live on tomorrow's launch. This is the first sticker. This is Brittany with the Miata, and then me with the Mazda Speed 3. I know that's kind of switched right now because Brittany drives the Speed 3 and I drive the Miata, but that's not always gonna be the case. This is us behind our respected cars. And for the last sticker, it is me with the Speed 3 only. I know a lot of people probably want this. This is like the OG. This is how this channel started, me with the Speed 3. So that's another option. And lastly, these things are really, really, really cool. I'm super pumped about these, especially. Let me show you guys these. These are bottle openers. This is the one with the Miata that says self-driven on it. It is a bottle opener plus a can opener. If you turn this thing around, it actually opens cans. Brittany complains that she breaks nails, so I got the can opener option as well, just in case if anyone else breaks nails out there. But self-driven with the Miata in the background, doing a burnout. This is awesome. And secondly, this is the Speed 3 version, the Speed 3 doing a burnout, and the self-driven logo right there. And this is like super, if not exactly the same color as the Speed 3, so that's why I made it this blue. So if any of you want to support the brand, buy a sticker, a decal, or those keychains, go ahead and check out tomorrow's video. The launch is going to be awesome. If you guys haven't seen the video of me announcing the brand, I'm going to put a link down below. It's everything about what self-driven is all about. It's a really cool name. It's got a good meaning behind it. It's everything I believe in. But if not, then thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you learned a little something today about Miatas and what you should do first. Again, this is my opinion. This isn't like literally set in stone. This is just what I would do first if I had to do it again with my Miata. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and peace out.